education. There are lots of different ways that psychologists have an impact in education. You've probably heard of fields like educational psychology, which is slightly different from what I do. That would be, that's usually a career that requires postgraduate training, but it would be doing things like assessing kids on maybe learning difficulties, or even kids who are doing exceptionally well, and providing plans for helping kids with learning difficulties. So there's that sort of quite one-to-one sort of bit. There are other psychologists have been thinking about, helping teaching and learning. And then there are some people who are doing things that are maybe a little bit more like classic psychology. And what I thought I'd do today is give you a little bit of classic psychology with a bit of application, just so that you can see how closely some of the areas of psychology are actually aligned to some things that educators think are important. So I'm going to cover kind of two areas. One, quite an old classic study, and another one, a very recent paper that is a big summary of a large number of studies that maybe, especially for the students in the room, might be useful, because it will be a little bit about what kinds of revision techniques actually work. So, some real-world application as well. Right, so we're going to try. There are only a few of you, so I'm going to make you be one condition instead of the three different ones. But I'm going to put you into one condition from a classic psychology experiment. And I'm just going to give you this little booklet. If it has writing on it, it's because it's been written on by a previous group in the past, so ignore what they've done. Just for now, keep the booklet closed. And if you have a spare piece of paper, great, but if you don't, you can just think of these bits in your mind. I won't collect your responses, I promise. Okay. Is to read to you in a moment a paragraph, and I'll explain to you the steps with your little booklet. The real experiment was conducted in a psychology lab under much better conditions. This is just for fun, so you can get a sense of what some psychology experiments might be like that you might not have heard of yet. And what I'm going to have you think about as you participate in this experiment is how well you understand the paragraph I'm about to give you, and then I'm also going to ask you how well you remember what comes from the paragraph. So it's a bit of a memory experiment for you. Okay, so this is the bit where I have to cheat and turn off the computer, because this way I can read the text and you don't get to see it. Okay, so here's the paragraph. I want you to try to remember as much from it as you can. The procedure is actually quite simple. First, you arrange items into different groups depending on their makeup. Of course, one pile may